Revealed, the miraculous truth behind 95 of married women's souls. Divine NDE revelation. In a quaint English village, surrounded by rolling hills and ancient chapels, there lived a devoted wife and mother named Mary. Her days were spent amidst the whispers of faith that filled the candlelit services of her parish, where prayers mingled with the gentle rhythms of village life. But beneath the surface of her serene family existence loomed a trial, a series of unexplained ailments that swept through her like a cold wind, threatening the warmth of her faith and love. One fateful night, as Mary lay in a haze of despair, the world around her crumbled. Shadows danced at the edges of her consciousness, and she felt herself floating away, whisked into the ethereal embrace of the divine. Here, in the afterlife, everything shimmered with light. A golden glow enveloped her as she encountered a radiant presence that felt like home. "You are not alone, sweet Mary," it whispered, resonating deep within her soul. In that moment, revelations surged around her, and truths bloomed like spring flowers. She saw the silent burdens that married women carried, the prayers forged in the quiet of the night, the sacrifices given without thought, the unwavering love that fueled their lives. Each life woven like a tapestry, threads of joy and pain intertwining in a beautiful, sacred calling. As she returned to her world, this divine experience ignited a fervor within Mary. "I must share this!" she exclaimed, her heart ablaze with purpose. She rushed to her church community, her words ignited with the power of her revelation, inviting the village to join her in prayer, to embrace their sacred mission. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." But whispers of doubt rippled through the village like a sudden storm. Mary's husband, James, a pillar of strength in their family, found himself caught in a tumult of skepticism. Despite the love they shared, he feared that Mary's newfound convictions might unravel the foundation of their life together. The gentle rhythms of their daily existence became strained, shadows looming large over their once blissful unity. Then calamity struck. An unforeseen crisis gripped the village. Chaos erupted when illness swept through their community, igniting fear and uncertainty in every heart. Frightened villagers began to turn to prayer, one by one, their voices rising like a hymn declaring the invisible bond of faith that connected them. Mary, standing on the precipice of divine calling, felt the sacred energy swirl around her, urging her to continue, inspiring hope. In the midst of it all, as James bore witness to the miracle of community gathered in fervent prayer, an unexpected shift occurred within him. The atmosphere crackled with an intensity that made even the most hardened hearts open, bearing witness to the divine pulse that coursed through their lives. For once, as Mary spoke of love and unity, a seed of faith began to blossom within him. As the crisis reached its climax, luminous light flooded the village. It was a sign, a divine affirmation. Was this the answer they had been seeking? Would Mary's calling guide them through the shadows? Or would the raging doubts from her beloved James stand in the way of their shared healing? The villagers, hearts alight with newfound purpose, began to respond to the sacred call with worshipful whispers. But amid the fervor, Mary stood at a crossroads, yearning for her family's bond to grow stronger while torn by the weight of her husband's doubts. Encased in the divine glow, the stakes were higher than ever. What would unfold in the next chapter of their miraculous journey? The air in the village had shifted, electric with hope yet thick with doubt. Mary stood in the center of the congregation, surrounded by faces illuminated by flickering candlelight. Their eyes gleamed, reflecting a mix of trepidation and faith that filled the sacred space. Each prayer spoken was an unraveling of fear, a stepping stone towards healing. The villagers had come together, breaking the barriers that had long claimed their hearts. But as the prayers soared upwards, Mary felt that familiar tension within her, an unspoken worry clinging to her heart. Would James, her steadfast anchor, truly embrace this divine transformation? Her spirit brimmed with absolute certainty, yet the chasm of uncertainty between them loomed large, James observed from the periphery, lost in a swirl of conflicting emotions. The warmth of community was warming his heart, but the silent fears lingered. Could faith be enough to banish the shadows that threatened their life together? He opened up a prayer book, tracing fingers over well-worn words as if seeking answers that had yet to come. That evening, when Mary returned home, she found James seated by the hearth, a thoughtful, inscrutable look on his face. "Mary," he said slowly, "I've seen the village rally. I've felt the power of their prayers. Yet I fear this path leads to somewhere I cannot follow." Mary's heart ached at his words. "Love, these prayers are not merely words, they are bonds that connect us to the divine. What we feel, what we see, it is all real. You must believe." But her passionate plea only deepened his hesitation. "And if it's not real, Mary? If it leads us away from what we know?" In that moment, Mary sensed the clash of spiritual fervor against the weight of doubt. Tears glistened in her eyes. She stepped closer, grasping his hand in hers, the warmth of love bridging the gap between doubt and faith. "Remember the warmth of our laughter, the quiet moments spent in prayer? This is no different. It's all part of something greater." As the words flowed, the golden glow returned to her mind, lighting up the path she had seen, a tapestry of lives interwoven by faith, love, and communal strength. And deep inside, a realization dawned: her journey wasn't just for her. It was a path meant to bring James along with her. In the coming days, the village danced in circles of prayer, each recitation building a chorus of devotion that reverberated through their cobbled streets. Yet amidst this flourishing faith, whispers of disbelief still lingered, even louder among the shadows. Mary urged her fellow villagers to fast, to pray harder, to delve deeper into their hopes and fears, to truly manifest the divine heart she witnessed during her near-death experience. It was a calling that James could not ignore, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, he began to soften. The distant glow of faith tugged at him, pulling him closer to the community, closer to Mary. Yet, as doubts started to fade, something deeper stirred, a new fear untested by time. What if his own transformation brought unexpected trials? Then one evening, as the sun dipped behind the rolling hills, illuminating the village in hues of crimson and gold, a silence fell. A strange tranquility settled into the air as whispers of prophecy filled the church, proclaiming a divine encounter would soon be within reach. What miracle awaited them? Would James finally surrender to the holy whispers calling out to him? Could he embrace the very light that Mary had witnessed? Or would the fears within stifle the unfolding grace that hovered lovingly above them? As hope hung delicately in the air, Mary made a decision that would echo into their collective future, a declaration that could either draw them closer to divine unity, or split them apart. And as that haunting question loomed larger, the stage was set for revelation. The days turned into a blend of anticipation and restlessness. The murmurs of prophecy echoed in every corner of the village, and yet, that apprehensive spark within James persisted. He watched Mary with a heart full of emotion, her unwavering dedication igniting something deep within him. But along with that spark came a shadow, a nagging fear that whispered of tests he felt unprepared to face. Each night, Mary would light their hearth, casting a warm glow through their humble home. She would share stories of miracles witnessed in the village, recounting the poignant moments when hope sparked joy, even in the direst of situations. She aimed to ignite faith in James, each word a kindling meant to light the divine passion she longed for them to share. "Do you remember when we found that lost lamb?" she asked one evening, her voice gentle yet filled with fervor. "We searched together until we heard its faint bleat, and together we brought it home. It was love that guided us, love for each other, and for the creation around us. This is no different, James. Faith is the light guiding us to those lost moments, those moments where God finds us." James looked into her eyes, searching for the certainty she must have felt. But how could he embrace such a radical change? He hesitated, each breath weighing more heavily than the last as doubt weighed down upon him. The village began to prepare for the upcoming divine encounter. Excitement pulsed in the air, charging each soul with belief. Villagers would gather beneath the stars at night, singing songs of old and sharing their fears and hopes. Mary found herself drawn into the circle with greater fervor each evening, her spirit blossoming in the shared devotion, while James lurked in the shadows, never quite part of the full embrace of faith. One fateful night, as the moon shimmered brightly above them, a luminous golden light began to pierce through the darkness. It radiated from the church, encasing the villagers in its divine embrace. Mary felt it in her marrow, a gentle but powerful pull, beckoning her towards the sanctuary. She turned to James with excitement bubbling in her heart. "Don't you feel it? Let us go." But James faltered, overwhelmed by the intensity of emotion swirling within. "What if I'm not ready for this? What if I disrupt what's unfolding?" Mary's heart broke a little at his words. "You won't disrupt anything. You'll find your place. This is not just for the strong, James. This is for those seeking the faithful and the doubtful alike." And yet, with the glow of divinity beckoning her, Mary made a decision that would change everything. She stepped into the sacred silence, daring the unknown. "I will go alone if it must be," she said softly, feeling the warmth of unity pulling her into the heart of worship. That entrance to the church felt like crossing into another realm, one bursting with the lively hope of transformation and deep trust in divine presence. Her prayer ascended higher, brushing against the heavenly expanse as she knelt before the altar, her spirit naked before the Creator. James stood still, weighing her conviction against his fear. He knew the warmth of love and community was clawing at him, yet that fear loomed like a shadow. A part of him longed to join her, to dive into the divine experience unfolding before him. Yet another part held him tethered, clinging desperately to the safety of doubt. As the air shimmered with expectation, something incredible began to twist within James, and he wondered, would he allow that divine light to touch his heart? Could he abandon the shore of fear and trust in what lay ahead? As the villagers joined in fervent prayer, a profound stillness filled the space. They breathed in unity, hearts echoing, reaching heavenward. It was in this sacred moment that a rumble of thunder erupted outside, startling all. Mary turned her gaze to the door, sensing a shift in the atmosphere as clouds gathered ominously. Could this be the awakening the village had prayed for? As the storm brewed outside, would James finally step into that radiant light of faith? Or would he allow fear to keep him from the miracle awaiting them all? What was about to unfold could alter the fabric of their destiny. As the thunder rolled once more, James felt the air thicken around him, a palpable energy inflating the space where he stood. He could hear the soft murmurs of prayer intertwining with each clap of thunder, carrying with it a sacred urgency. The villagers, embraced by the warm golden light, appeared bathed not in mere illumination but in a divine assurance. They were no longer individuals frozen in fear. They were a collective vessel of faith, each heart a spark in the unfolding miracle. Mary knelt fervently, surrendering her worries to the Almighty, her hands clasped tightly. The prayers around her rose and enfolded her in a warm garment of belief, and she realized how crucial this moment was, not just for herself, but for James, for their entire village. She did not want to embark on this journey of faith alone. As she remained bowed, she could feel her spirit rise, floating like a feather caught in the wind of supplication. The energy pulsing through the church enveloped her, igniting an insatiable hope. Suddenly, her heart whispered a truth: separation, fear, and doubt were illusions, mere specters clouding their vision of what God could do. Outside, the storm raged on, and its presence contrasted sharply with the sanctuary's warmth. Lightning illuminated James's brows, and in those illuminated moments, fear danced in his eyes, a shadowy figure tempting him to retreat. He could not ignore the pull of that light any longer. It beckoned him like a lighthouse guiding a lost sailor home. "Mary," he whispered, his voice barely breaking through the roaring storm, but it carried the weight of all his doubt. Would he emerge from the shadows and step into the light? "James," her voice cut through the chaos, a soothing balm in the tempest. She rose from prayer, her face aglow with love and determination. "This place, this moment, it's for you too. God doesn't he cast aside the doubtful, he invites them in." He felt the urgency in her plea, and it stirred something buried deep in his heart, a flicker of faith yearning to ignite. Yet the clashing thunder seemed to jeer at his hesitation. "But what if my past keeps pulling me back?" he protested softly, the veil of fear still hanging over him. Mary stepped closer, her hands reaching out as though to pull him into the embrace of belonging. Our pasts do not define us, James. Look at everyone here. We all carry doubts, scars, and brokenness. It is precisely because of those things that we need this moment. God is waiting for us to turn our hearts to Him, to transform those doubts into a testimony of light. Her words washed over him, cleansing the layers of darkness that had encased him for so long. The flicker within him began to burn brighter, as the storm outside danced violently against the walls. It was a battle between chaos and peace, a raw reminder of life as struggles, but the serenity of faith offered hope amid strife. As he stood there, James realized he was at a crossroads. He could either succumb to his fear or choose to rise up in faith. Around him, the atmosphere thickened with expectancy. He could almost hear the murmurs of encouragement from his fellow villagers, felt their hope pulling him like the tide calling a ship. In that pivotal moment, James made his decision. He took a trembling yet resolute movement toward the doors of the church. As he moved forward, the warmth of Mary's hand clasping his wrapped around his heart, igniting him with something everyone could feel: love, acceptance, and an overwhelming sense of purpose. With each step, he felt lighter, shedding layers of fear as he moved into the golden glow radiating from the altar. Would he emerge from the shadows into the fullness of faith? A symphony of voices rose within him as he lifted his eyes toward the altar, the luminous presence inviting him in. In the heart of the storm, a new chapter of faith awaited him. Within the light, he heard a soft whisper, a divine promise echoing, was this just the beginning of transformation? As the storm continued to brew outside, there loomed a greater question: what miraculous change could occur when surrendering everything to the embrace of faith? As James stepped into that golden glow, a cascade of warmth rushed over him, unfurling like petals in springtime after the bitter chill of winter. The radiant light felt alive as if it were a living prayer rising to the heavens. He could sense the weight of the storm lessening, as if it, too, was responding to the new energy within the church. Mary stood beside him, her eyes glistening with tears of joy, infused with hope that surged through the air. The villagers, all pillars of faith, turned toward him like flowers leaning into the sun. Each face reflected belief, the kind that could chase away the darkest fears. "Look at us, James," Mary said softly, in awe of the moment unfolding. "This is where transformation happens, in witness, in love, in community. We are not alone." The vibrancy around him fueled a quiet flame, illuminating his heart. He stood still, absorbing the beauty of this communion, villagers united as one body, supporting each other with prayers. Each whisper of faith braided together in a tapestry of devotion, carrying them towards something extraordinary. Outside, the thunder still rumbled, but it felt distant now. The flashes of lightning became fleeting reminders of the fear that lingered, yet they were overpowered by the steadfast tranquility that enveloped the room. James glanced around at the congregants steeped in prayer, some swaying slightly, enchanted by the presence of God. He could see the desperate search in many faces, the longing for peace and hope amidst their trials. This was a sanctuary, a sacred refuge from the storm. His heart beat a little faster, propelled by a courage he had barely known. The collective energy bubbled over, urging him to lean into it, to push past the veil that had held him back for far too long. With a steady breath, James turned his gaze back to the altar, a place intertwined with promise and divine invitation. Then, a flickering candle caught his attention. Its small light danced wildly against the shadows, yet it stood strong against the wind. Something deep within him resonated with that small flame, a connection sparking between the light and his own budding faith. In seeing it, he realized that even the smallest light holds incredible power against darkness. "James," Mary's voice reached up and pulled him back into the moment. "Let go of your past and step into his light. Trust that this moment is pivotal, it can redefine you." A swell of determination washed over him, each word anchoring him to a new possibility. Would he embrace the light? Would he let the flicker within him blaze into a bonfire of faith? As if answering his silent questions, the powerful energy surrounding him surged. Suddenly, the air glittered, and in that ethereal shimmer, a vision broke through the storm, a glimpse of hope, transformation, and a promise fulfilled. He could see the lives that had been changed because of faith, the miracles birthed from surrender, the purpose found on the other side of fear. James felt himself yearning to shout, to share what he had seen, to invite everyone into this light. Yet, a quiet restraint grew within him, reminding him that faith is often a journey of steps, not leaps. What if this moment could serve as a pebble that starts a ripple, resonating into the hearts of those around him? The murmurs of prayer intensified, their collective hopes woven together like a tapestry. God, James whispered, finally surrendering fully, I give you my doubts, my fears, I claim this moment of courage. The air shifted, the storm outside began to quiet, as if in response to his commitment. It felt like the heavens held their breath, anticipating the fruits of this moment. Amidst the quieting storm, his heart swelled with possibility. His journey had only just begun, and he sensed that the weight of what lay ahead would be far greater than he could imagine. What incredible transformations awaited those who dared to believe? As the last flicker of the storm faded from the sky beyond the altar, James's heart surged with questions, each echoing in vibrant anticipation. What was it that God had planned for him? And what miraculous turn would his newfound faith invite? Inside the sanctuary, the atmosphere shimmered with palpable faith, a comforting embrace woven through the congregation. James, standing amidst the flickering candlelight, felt that initial spark of courage slowly intensifying, urging him deeper into this divine moment. Each heartbeat echoed with the fervent whispers of prayer, reflecting a wave of shared hope that began to swell around him. Can you feel that? Mary's voice danced softly near him. The Spirit is moving, James. It's calling us to open our hearts wider. As he turned to her, the light caught the glisten of her joyful tears, making them seem almost ethereal. It reminded him of water droplets on a plant, refreshed by the dawn after a night of rain. The villagers were lifting their voices in harmony, singing praises that stretched toward the heavens, reverberating through the very walls. James could feel the vibrations in his chest, a rhythmic reminder of the love that binds them all. It felt as though their voices could part the clouds, calling in the sun and banishing the shadows once and for all. Suddenly, an image flashed in his mind, a vision of hands reaching out, touching lives, offering genuine kindness. Each person he saw represented a story, a battle fought and won through love, persistence, and faith. In that moment, he sensed the weight of shared struggles bearing down on each member. It pressed hard against his heart, igniting compassion that couldn't be ignored. With a trembling resolve, he took a step toward the altar. Every step felt like a stroke against the current, yet an inner strength, woven from the prayers surrounding him, propelled him forward. He couldn't shake the vision, a sense that shared stories could heal, and that the flicker inside him was meant to shine brightly outward. Mary's steady gaze found his. Speak, James. Let the light within you flow to others. Your journey may inspire their own. He paused, feeling words bubbling to the surface, fragile yet potent. I had this vision. I saw hands reaching. I saw love healing wounds. What if our stories could connect us, making us stronger? The villagers turned, intrigued and expectant. Some nodded gently, as if the very air transmitted confirmation of his burgeoning faith. It was an invitation for connection, a call to share their journeys, their heartaches, and their triumphs, to help one another grow. You don't have to have all the answers, James, another voice chimed in, an elder rising from the pews, eyes shining with understanding. Just share what you have felt. Your truth can illuminate shadows in someone else's life. He felt the glow settle heavier within him, anchoring him to this space and moment like the roots of an ancient tree. As he gathered his thoughts, a profound stillness settled over the church, a sacred pause where time seemed to hold its breath. James' entire body thrummed with the recognition that the door to transformation was swinging open, revealing wonders that were seemingly just out of reach. In that depth of silence, a rush of calm clarity flooded through him. What if this was not merely a personal journey but a shared awakening? What if he could invite others to bask in the light, to be part of a divine tapestry woven with purpose and intention? Without clear intentions forming, he simply nodded, embracing the moment. A ripple of understanding surged, feeding the growing light within him. A bold voice whispered right into his heart, Your journey is just beginning, James. Feeling the weight of that declaration, the warmth of community wrapped around him like a comforting cloak. But deeper questions began to emerge, questions that clung to the edges of his spirit like starlight woven through the darkness. What if the transformation within him could spark something more expansive? What if their collective voices could move mountains? As the last echoes of the hymn lingered in the air, James felt a swelling urgency within. What journey had God set before him? How would he discover his own path while lighting the way for others? Each answer seemed inviting yet elusive, layered in divine mystery, prompting his heart to whisper for exploration. The moment seemed poised at the edge of reveal, as if destiny itself beckoned him forward, waiting for the next step to unfold. The air hung heavy with anticipation, pregnant with the possibilities of what could unfold. James could feel the energy buzzing around him, as if the very walls of the sanctuary were alive, pulsating in unison with the faith coursing through the crowd. He could hear Mary softly encouraging him, a whisper in the midst of a gathering storm of emotions. Remember, just speak from your heart. We are all here together. Taking a deep breath, James turned his gaze back to the congregation. Their expectant faces glimmered with hope and curiosity. They were ready to listen, ready to connect. It was more than just a gathering. It felt like a family bonded by shared experiences and heartaches, each of them a thread in a grand tapestry intricately woven together by grace. I believe in the power of our stories, he began, his voice quivering yet rising, carried by an invisible current of support. Every struggle, every joy, it shapes who we are, doesn't it? If we share our truths, we can heal together. A soft murmur of agreement echoed through the rows, urging him on. The warmth inside him ignited brighter, flickering with urgency. We've all known darkness, haven't we? But it's the light we've discovered, the love we've given and received that makes us whole. His heart raced with the understanding that this gathering wasn't just a momentary spark. It was a kindling flame, a powerful reminder that they were never alone. As he spoke, he could see the light dancing in the eyes of those around him, reflecting back the brightness he hoped to share. An elderly woman, whose wrinkles held stories of perseverance, raised her hand gently. You're right, dear boy. We do need to share. I lost my husband last winter, and I felt so alone. But when the community came together, I didn't just find companionship. I rediscovered hope. James nodded, his heart swelling. The stories began to unfold like petals opening at dawn, slow, fragile, yet full of promise. One by one, different voices joined in, some trembling, others steady in their resolve. There was laughter, tears, and a shared sense of vulnerability as they opened their hearts to one another, revealing scars and victories alike. As the genuine exchange continued, James felt a holy gravity pulling him closer to something greater. It was evident this wasn't merely about him. It was about them, about all of them. He sensed the tangible presence of divine love touching each heart, forging bonds that transcended individual pain. In the midst of this sacred outpouring, a young man stood up, his face etched with uncertainty. But what if we can't heal all our wounds? What if some pain, some stories are too deep? His brave question hung in the air, echoing off the walls. James felt a wave of compassion wash over him. What if healing isn't about fixing all the brokenness, but rather, embracing our scars and allowing them to be part of our journey? The sanctuary was suffused with silence, each person absorbing the gentle reminder that they didn't need to be perfect to belong. They simply had to be present, authentic, and willing to share. As the hours passed, the gathering transformed into a collective experience of hope and renewal. Yet, even in this moment of connection, the nagging questions still lingered within James. How could this powerful energy last beyond tonight? How could they ensure that this wasn't just a fleeting moment but the beginning of something life-changing? The last light of evening began to fade, and contemplation settled like a soft blanket over the congregation. James sensed that a shift was happening, a turning point not just in his life but in the community as well. And as the final flames flickered around the altar, illuminating faces filled with newfound light, he wondered, what vision awaited him when the dawn broke anew? What more would God reveal in this shared journey ahead? The spark was just beginning to dance, waiting for the wind of divine guidance to carry it further. As the glow of flickering candles warmed the sanctuary, James felt an awakening in his heart. The stories shared, the pain voiced, and the smiles exchanged breathed life into what had once felt like a series of disconnected souls drifting in solitude. Now they were woven together in divine harmony, their spirits lifted above the weight of the burdens they had carried alone for too long. He stepped closer to the altar, where the candles formed a soft halo of light, and glanced at Mary, whose eyes sparkled with encouragement. It struck him how pivotal this moment was, not just for him but for each person present. They were poised on the edge of change, like buds ready to blossom. What if today marked the beginning of a new season of joy for all of them? Suddenly, the young man who had spoken earlier stood again, more resolute this time. I can see now. What if we embrace our pain together? What if we transform our scars into stories of triumph? What strength could that bring? He looked around, daring others to respond. Yes. A woman shouted from the back, her voice carrying an exuberance that sparked others to speak up. What if we became a community of healers? The room erupted in applause, the sounds merging into a symphony of hope. Laughter mingled with tears as more voices chimed in, each sharing dreams of healing and connection. James felt the love, the tangibility of unity washing over him like a gentle tide. Sharing our burdens makes them lighter, he added, his voice lifted by the collective courage filling the room. There is a divine exchange in this vulnerability. When we open our hearts, we allow God to flow through us and touch others. The resonance of his words stirred something deep within each person. Faces lit with realization, eyes brightened with possibility. This was not just a gathering to share woes. It was an opportunity to forge a moving tapestry of faith where stories became threads of strength. A sense of urgency swept over James, one that was as beautiful as it was daunting. The gathering was all too sacred to let slip away into mere memory. But how do we keep this going? He asked, his heart pounding with the weight of the question. How do we ensure threads of connection continue to bind us together outside these walls? The question hung in the air, ripe with potential. A silence fell as the congregation reflected deeply, each person pondering how to maintain this newfound fire. Then Mary spoke up, breaking the silence like a beacon of light. Why don't we create a circle? A safe space for sharing and support? We could meet weekly, share our lives, our stories, our struggles. We could pray together, and seek God's guidance in all things. Cheers erupted, and the idea took root. It felt like standing at the edge of a vast landscape, an enticing horizon inviting them to explore. As the meeting came to a natural close, James urged them to think deeply about what they would carry forth from this moment. Every journey begins with a single step, doesn't it? What step will you take to keep this alive? What commitment will you make to stay connected? The congregation absorbed these questions with solemn nods, each heart contemplating the call to action resonating deep within. Yet each answer felt just out of reach, wrapped in divine mystery. As the last flickers of light dimmed and the crowd began to disperse, James felt a fire igniting in him, brighter and more fervent than before. God was moving, and he was but a vessel in this grand design. He looked toward the open door, where the night sky waited, vast and full of promise. What awaited them on the other side? What divine guidance would unfold in their collective journey? James couldn't shake the feeling that today was only the beginning. The whispers of the Spirit seemed to beckon him onward into the unknown. As the dusk settled outside, a gentle breeze rustled the trees, whispering a sacred promise to the world beyond. Inside the little sanctuary, the fading glow of the candles still flickered with hope, illuminating the faces of those who lingered, hearts still warm with the embers of shared revelation. James took a moment to gaze around at their faces, each one etched with love, vulnerability, and courage. We've ignited something powerful tonight, he thought, the weight of responsibility for this care resting upon him. It felt as though the air was alive with possibility, each breath a reminder of the divine presence they had tapped into. Let us not let this spirit fade, he called out, capturing the attention of his fellow congregants. Let us form our circle. Let us promise to meet, to share, and to grow together. We can't let this moment slip through our fingers. Mary stepped forward, a vibrant energy radiating from her. I believe that's just the beginning. What if we also reach out to others? There are souls out there craving this connection, healing, and support. Let us invite them into our circle. Yes. A voice chimed from the back, an echo of enthusiasm vibrant in the air. Let us be a beacon. We could create an open gathering, where anyone can come and share. The excitement grew, spreading like a ripple across the water. Conversations ignited, sharing visions of outreach and connection. James felt a swell of divine joy in his heart, and it surged into his words. We can hold community dinners, prayer groups, workshops, whatever the Spirit leads us to do. Together we can show others they are not alone. A vision began to form, illuminated by shared dreams. They would create a sanctuary not just within these walls, but everywhere they went. Laughter and ideas tumbled over one another, each person building off the next, a tapestry of shared hope unraveling before them. Then, the young man who had first spoken stood once more, a soft glow of inspiration in his eyes. What if each time we meet, we share not just our struggles but our victories too? We can celebrate progress, however small, to remind us of God's faithfulness. Exuberance filled the room as nods of agreement rippled through the gathering. Each soul felt the need for balance, to hold both the light and dark together as part of their journey. They were not on this road alone. God had walked with them every step of the way. But a flicker of doubt crawled into James' mind. Will we have the strength? He wondered quietly. The question clung to him, a reminder of human fragility. What if they faltered along the way? He felt compelled to address the reality of their journey, to weave hope even through the uncertainties. Transforming lives is not easy, he gently reminded. We will face challenges, moments when it feels heavy. It's in those moments we need each other most. A hush fell across the room again, the gravity of his words settling in. They were committing to something extraordinary, and with it came the sacred blend of hope and fear. Yet we must keep our eyes on the goal: transformation. Mary interjected passionately. Every moment spent in fear is a moment stolen from the beauty God is crafting through us. We must trust His guidance, and lean into each other. Her words stung with truth, awakening an unshakable courage within them. One by one, hearts ignited, a chorus of hope rising to meet the heavens. As they stood together, hands intertwined in a circle, the warmth of connection enveloped them. It felt like wrapping themselves in a divine embrace, swaddling their dreams and prayers with a promise of community strength. Let us pray, James suggested, lifting his eyes toward the ceiling. May God guide us, grant us wisdom, and fill us with an unyielding love for one another. Quiet whispers filled the air as they bowed their heads, a river of faith flowing through them. The ordinary turned sacred, and each voice became a note in a divine symphony. As they concluded their prayer, James felt an urge swell within him, a realization that something greater was stirring. What surprises awaited them? In that moment of stillness, a spark ignited deep inside him. What if, he pondered, a smile creeping onto his face, what if God had even more for them to discover next? As the sacred silence enveloped the gathering, a palpable energy swirled in the air, binding them together. James glanced around, feeling the soft whispering of the Holy Spirit weaving through the hearts of every member present. This moment held the weight of history, transformation, and divine potential, all held together by faith and love. Today, my friends, he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion, marks the beginning of something extraordinary. Each word was a seed, planted with intention, ready to blossom in the fertile ground of their unity. Let us not forget the miracle that has brought us to this point, Mary interjected, her eyes gleaming with determination. Each tear shed, each prayer lifted, has carved a path through the shadows. Now, we step boldly into the light, hand in hand, ready to face whatever comes our way. A murmur of agreement rippled through the circle, resonating like a harmonious chord struck in unison. It was clear their hearts were burning with purpose. It was not merely about personal healing anymore. It was about cultivating a community, a living testament to divine love and support. James felt the tug at his spirit, the gentle assurance that this was only the beginning. We will face challenges, he reminded softly, but with every trial, we'll become stronger. Together, we will illuminate every shadow with the light of our collective faith. The words settled in the sacred space as each person reflected deeply. The room was a sanctuary, filled with dreams woven into outreach. They were not called just to meet in these walls but to reach beyond. The mission before them cradled endless possibilities. In the corner, the elderly woman who had spoken before addressed them once more, her voice a soothing balm amid the fervor. Let us create a garden, a literal garden. We can plant seeds of hope and nurture them together, growing not just food but a community deeper than we've ever known. Excitement rippled through the group at her suggestion, like a breeze stirring the leaves of faith. Yes, someone shouted, and let us host an open house, inviting the village. Let them share their stories and bring their burdens. Everyone needs this connection. As the ideas flowed, each contribution added to the vibrant tapestry forming before them. They laughed, cried, and cheered as visions materialized under the guiding hand of their love and commitment. Unity was not just a word, it became a lived experience, a divine promise. Then, James noticed a small child peeking in through the doorway, eyes wide with wonder. The child's innocent presence was a sublime reminder of the next generation. Their whispers of faith needed to encompass even the youngest. We must create a space for children, too, he suggested, his heart swelling with excitement at the thought. A place where they can learn about love and faith. Let us prepare them to carry this light forward. As they embraced this new vision, a curtain lifted from the future. Each person, young and old, would be a thread in the beautiful tapestry of their community. Together, they would shine individually, yet collectively be brighter than the sum of their parts. We will invite everyone, Mary said, her voice strong. Those who feel lost, those who feel alone, everyone searching for hope will find solace here. In that moment, a wave of realization crashed over the group. They were not standing at the fringe of a movement, they were at the heart of it. Divine purpose pulsated within them, drawing them closer together as guardians of hope. James felt his heart race with gratitude. This is a divine calling, he declared, his voice steady and filled with conviction. The Spirit is with us. We must guard and nurture this flame we have kindled. At that moment of commitment, the church's candles flickered, and the golden light that enveloped them felt like divine approval, a tangible embrace from the Creator. A sense of peace rolled through the congregation, easing every uncertainty in their hearts. It was an unshakable testament to how far they had come, and how far they would go. As they all linked arms in unity, James closed his eyes, and a deep prayer rose within him. Lord, guide us, strengthen us, and use us to be vessels of your love. Help us shine the light you have ignited in our hearts to the world beyond these walls. We are ready for what comes next. A chorus of Amen reverberated through the church, a glorious anthem of faith uniting them. Their hearts beat as one, each soul stepping forward into destiny, an unknown journey filled with hope. And as they opened their eyes to the world beyond, the storm clouds that once shadowed their lives began to recede. A new dawn awaited them, sunlight streaming through the windows, illuminating their path. Let us go be the light, Mary said, exchanging a beaming smile with James. They stood together, hearts aligned, filled with a sense of divine purpose, ready to face whatever blessings awaited them. With laughter trailing behind them like a warm, welcoming hug, they burst from the confines of the church, stepping boldly into the unfolding narrative of their community. Little did they know, the journey had only just begun. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it really helps. Comment your thoughts and testimonies about the ending. Your voices matter. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. Don't wait even one more second. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.